thank you all for joining me. We have about 100 of you in this class, and we're ready to get started. This week in our Intro to Baking class, we had 2 different theories. We learned the difference in butter and margarine, as well as we learned how to make a simple homemade buttermilk. And with that, we're going to use those ingredients in our live class session this week to make a simple vanilla buttermilk pound cake. The ingredients we needed for today's class were, let me start with y'all. Butter. We had 8 ounces of butter or 12 ounces of butter. I'm going to use 8 ounces of butter and 4 ounces of butter flavored Crisco. Find this at your local grocery store. We also needed 2.5 cups of sugar, granulated sugar. We also needed 3 cups of flour. I gave you alternatives to flour. You can use 3 cups of cake flour. You can use 3 cups of all-purpose flour with 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Or in my case, in my case, I have already measured out and sifted 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1.5 cups of cake flour. Why do you do this, Professor Bundt Buddy? I just feel like it gives my pound cakes a different crumb. This is just an alternative. You don't have to do this, but you can do this. I just want to let you know, sometimes we don't necessarily have all of the cake flour, all of the all-purpose flour. It's okay to mix all-purpose and cake flour. All-purpose and cake flour. I would not mix the self-rising flour because self-rising flour rises on its own, right? We don't want to do that when baking cakes. That's not something that I recommend. I've heard of people doing it. I'm not those people, but if you want to do that, by all means do that. Okay, so back to our ingredients. Put my lid back on. We talked about our butter. We talked about our sugar. We talked about having our eggs. These are my 5 eggs. We also talked about having our buttermilk. This is my 1 cup of buttermilk. And because this is a simple vanilla buttermilk, we have vanilla extract right here. And I've been hearing about this creme bouquet flavoring. I'm just going to add it to my cake today just to try it out. I'm probably going to add about a teaspoon just to kind of see what it does. But I've been hearing about this on some of the different YouTube and Facebook, so I have to, I'm going to try it out. For me personally, I do not sift my cake flour. Cake flour is already refined. I don't sift my cake flour. I do sift my all-purpose flour. And I did sift my mix of all-purpose and cake flour because it does have all-purpose flour in it. But I don't sift my cake flour. Cake flour is already really defined, and so I don't sift it. If you are baking with me, preheat your ovens to 325. Let's preheat our ovens. With my mini cakes, I don't ever deviate from my recipes. I always make my recipe as is. So if you're making mini cakes, just pour the amount of batter that you need, and you can freeze cake batter. Or alternatively, make multiple mini cakes, eat the cake that you want, and freeze the other cakes until ready for use. But I never deviate from my recipes. I stick to the original recipes because I don't want to mess up something. So I'm not going to cut something in half or minimize this. I want it to taste like the original. So I never deviate from my full recipes. So you have 2 options. You can use what you need and bake it, freeze the rest of the batter. Thank you for the gifts. Or you can bake all of your batter into different cakes and freeze those cakes. Okay. All right, guys. I have my KitchenAid stand mixer here. If you don't have a stand mixer, it's totally fine. You can use a hand mixer. You can do it old school. Our parents did it old school, and the cakes were absolutely delicious. I like. Okay. Got my stand mixer here. I'm going to start with my butter. I call myself ready. I'm not even ready. All right. I only use salted butter. If you want to use unsalted butter to control your sodium intake, that's totally fine. That's not something I do. Okay. Yes, you can freeze the batter, Shannon, and I've shared this before. Okay. So I'm using 8 ounces of Kerrygold. Any brand is fine. 8 ounces of salted butter. And because groceries are high, we waste not, want not, okay? Make sure you get all your butter off your wrappers, okay? Put my butter in there. If you need to scrape off your butter thing, scrape it off, y'all. I'm going to use 4 ounces of this, I can't even talk. Butter flavored Crisco. 1/2 cup, okay? And the notches are on the stick, so you can see where to cut it at, okay? Now, if you're not using this, you can use another 4 ounces of butter. So the recipe called for 12 ounces of butter. Why do I like to use butter and Crisco? It just does something to the texture for me. And Crisco is cheaper than butter, so it's a way to kind of save on that as well. This is what butter flavored Crisco looks like. And people say, oh, it's Crisco. Yeah, if you eat buttercream, you eat Crisco. This is what it looks like, okay? I'm gonna cut it halfway down the middle, which is my half a cup. It's in there, okay? Going in with my paddle attachment. This is my paddle attachment. I'm gonna connect it to my KitchenAid. Who already baked their cake? Paddle attachment attached, and y'all know that the KitchenAid gets a little loud. Okay, so I have my 8 ounces of butter and my 4 ounces of butter flavored Crisco here in my bowl. I didn't show y'all, but if you're following, you can see this. See this? Let's get started. The tip that I like to do when creaming my butter and sugar is that with your butter, when you're creaming it, your butter's gonna start off yellowish, right? But once you're creaming it and it aerates, it's gonna change. It's gonna get lighter in color. So pay attention to that, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. This is on a low speed. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't tell you that. This is on speed 1. All right. I already have my 2.5 cups of sugar right here. Make sure your sugar is ready. Happy baking. Thank you. KitchenAid is a brand. Everybody can afford a KitchenAid. This one right here is my oldest KitchenAid, y'all. I lived in Alaska from 2010 to 2013. I got this KitchenAid in like 2012. So this KitchenAid is 13 years old. 13 years old. And she's still running. So it's worth it because they last forever, right? And they bake some really good cakes. You know, they do what they're supposed to do, right? But you don't have to have a KitchenAid. Okay. I have 3 KitchenAids, and let me tell you something. I use this one. I have 4 KitchenAids actually. I have this one, which is artisan. Maybe I use this one because it's my first one, and I just love it, right? I just love it's just what I'm used to, right? I have a commercial grade when my business was really, really busy and active. I have the big commercial aid. It's the silver one. I hate to use it. I don't like it. I have a new one that my children just bought me for Christmas. It's very pretty. It's really on my counter for decoration because it's so pretty. I'll use it, but this is my go-to. And I have a hand KitchenAid mixer as well. So it's a brand, but y'all, use what you can afford. Use what you can afford, and a hand mixer works just fine. Again, my mom taught me the original pound cake. My mama didn't have a stand mixer. She had a hand mixer, and baby, them pound cakes was pound caking. Yeah, I love mine too, but I'm saying, if you don't have a KitchenAid, it's okay. You can still bake deliciously good and perfect cakes without having a KitchenAid. And at current, our oven should be preheated to 325, and we are creaming our butter. We are probably on minute 4 creaming our butter. We've creamed our butter now for about 5 minutes. Now we're gonna go in here and add our sugar. Just pour your sugar slowly, okay? Pour your sugar slowly. You can see me pouring my sugar. This is 2.5 cups of sugar. I have not changed the speed on my KitchenAid. Still on low one speed. All right, all of my sugar is in there. Still using my paddle attachment. Sugar and butter is in there. I'm going to scrape around the side while I'm doing that. Hi. Y'all forgive my puppy. She over there minding her business, but it's people on the golf course, and my patio door is open, so she's kind of looking at the golf course to see people out there. And she's very territorial, but she's in another room. Just so you know, I'm in the kitchen. She's in another room, and she know not to come over here. I don't play with her. I've shared this cake a million times on my page. If you're new here, I am Z the Bundt Buddy. Right now, I'm in the capacity of Professor Bundt Buddy or Professor BB. I have made this cake a million times over. This is not new, y'all. It's not new. All right, if you're creaming your butter and sugar right now, it should look double in size, right? It should look double in size, a little grainy, right? That's what it should look like. We're about 2-3 minutes into our sugar being poured in here. So we're about 8 minutes into creaming our butter and sugar. It should be a total, I never really counted, but about a 10-11 minute process when you're creaming your butter and sugar, okay? And again, I'm still on low speed. So far, we have done 8 ounces of butter, 4 ounces of butter flavored Crisco. You can also do 12 ounces of butter, okay? Those are your alternatives. We also did 2.5 cups of sugar, okay? 2.5 cups of sugar. All right, I'm gonna stop this really quick. If you're with me, let's stop it, lift it, let's scrape our bowls down, okay? Scrape your bowl down. Scrape your bowl down if you're following with me. You can scrape down your paddle attachment, or if you're using a hand mixer, scrape down your attachments as well. Scrape it down, students. Best you can, okay? my butter and sugar look like, okay? Are you with me? Who's with me baking? Butter and sugar looking ready? A lot of people set their ingredients out the night before. I don't do that. I don't set my ingredients out the night before. The morning of, but not the night before. Okay. All right. So now we've creamed down our butter and sugar. I'm going to start it again, okay? Low speed. Paddle attachment back. Now we should be ready to put our eggs in, okay? Got 5 large eggs here. 5 large eggs. We're going to add our eggs in one at a time. And sometimes when you do your eggs in this bowl, 2 may get in there because they're kind of together. I can't control that, okay? Adding in my eggs, one at a time. That's 1 egg. Let it mix. All right, it's fully incorporated from what I can see. Egg number 2. Going in. The mixer is on low, yes. It's on 1. If you're using a hand mixer, you may have to put it on 2. I don't know compatibility. Yes, I just scraped down before we just put the eggs in. Somebody just asked me, do I ever scrape down? I just scraped down. You don't combine them all at one time because eggs have that yolk and everything. You want to make sure that they don't get stuck in there some kind of way. That's why you don't combine them. All right, I'm on egg number 4. All right, I'm on my last egg. All my eggs are in there. Eggs should be in there. Somebody just asked me, do I scrape down in between? Absolutely, I scraped down before I added my eggs. We did our butter and sugar. I stopped, we scraped down our bowl and our paddle, or our attachment that we're mixing with. We did that, and then we went in with our eggs. Now that your eggs are being added to your batter should not have that grainy texture as much. It should be smoothing out. I heard from elders that leaving your eggs out for a couple of days makes better. I've never heard that, but I mean, if that's what you've heard and that's what you used to, by all means do that. I just take mine out the morning of, or if I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll take them out like, you know, midnight or before I go to bed, but I never leave my eggs out for days. But in some countries as well, they don't even refrigerate eggs. Some countries leave eggs on the counter all the time. So I guess it just depends on preference. There's no right or wrong way in that. Baking is a science, and do what works for you and or your family. I just don't. That's just not something I do. Not something I do. If somebody asks me why don't I use baking powder when I use cake flour. Cake flour is already tender. Cake flour is already tender, light, and fluffy, okay? Additionally, what we're doing right now is we're aerating. We are aerating the butter, the sugar, and the eggs. That's going to add air into your batter, which causes for a tender and fluffy cake, okay? That's why. Now, if you're using all-purpose flour, there's a higher protein count. It's a lot thicker. You absolutely want to add some baking powder and or baking soda, whatever your recipe calls for. But you don't have to use it all the time. You don't. And I've proven that. And you don't have to use it all the time. All right, so if you're with me, we're going to stop again to scrape down our bowl before we start incorporating our flour and buttermilk, okay? Your batter, now that we've added the eggs in, should be a creamy consistency. Who's with me? Your batter should be a creamy consistency. Let's lift, scrape down, scrape down, scrape down, scrape your bowl, y'all. Get all your goodness off the side of that bowl, okay? Scrape it down. So far, your oven should be preheated to 325. We have creamed our butter, sugar, and eggs. Okay, that's what we've done so far. 43 minutes into the class. That's what we've done so far. Next, we're going to go in with our buttermilk. That should be room temperature. If you don't have buttermilk, in our theory this week, we learned how to make buttermilk using a cup of milk and a tablespoon of vinegar and or lemon juice. Okay, remember? That's what we learned in theory this week. I have my flour here. What I'm using today is 1.5 cups of cake flour. I use Swan's Don, and I'm also using 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. My preferred all-purpose flour, especially since being back in the South, is going to be White Lily. I absolutely love it. It's tried and true. It makes the best biscuits, the best cakes. That's it. That's the way to go. But gold medal, whatever you got, is fine. Okay. All of my flours have been sifted together, and I'm just whisking them. Now, this is something that's controversial. I've had culinary trained chefs tell me they don't do this. I do, though. This is my preference. When I get to adding my buttermilk and flour, I like to change my attachment to the whisk attachment. Why? Number one, it does not cause as much mess. With the paddle attachment, everything flies out the bowl. Yes, I do have this attachment to cover the bowl, but it still makes a mess, and I just don't like that. So when I add my milk and flour, I like to change out my attachment. Okay. So I'm scraping down to get everything off my paddle because I'm about to change my paddle. And honestly, y'all, what I do, what I like to do is I take my paddle on the side of my thing and I beat it off. I had a company, I'm not gonna say the name, that sent me a paddle thing to scrape down the batter, but I couldn't get it to work, so that's what I do. Here's a mutual of mine who's been following me for years, and she said that that's one thing she's incorporated, switching out her attachments, and it works for her. She's baked plenty of my cakes. Plenty of my cakes. All right. So this is what my paddle looks like now after scraping it down. I'm gonna scrape down my bowl one more time, okay? Give it a good scrape. Rehook it. Make sure everything's off of there. Everything's off of there. Right, let's go in with our new attachment. Putting it on. Still on low speed. I'm gonna go in starting with my flour first. We're gonna alternate adding flour and buttermilk, okay? Alternate adding flour and buttermilk. See how I'm taking my whisk, slowly adding in flour. Y'all with me? I like to do like 1/3 flour, 1/3 milk, 1/3, you know, do it like in 3 parts. It'll be 6 parts total, but 3 parts. All right. Flour's added. The first part of flour's added. I have my buttermilk. I want to give this a whisk too. It's been sitting out at room temperature. Get my, ooh, my buttermilk got thick. All right, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of buttermilk, okay? All right, going in again with more flour. And you do this, do not stop during this process, okay? Flour. And you see how when you switch your attachment, it's not flying all over the place? It's not flying all over the place, okay? With that paddle, baby, that flour will be all over my shirt right now, and I don't like that. All right, going in with more buttermilk. Look, I got a little bit of buttermilk left. On my cup, it's right above 1/4 a cup, okay? All right, going in with my last little bit of flour, okay? And remember, if you're late or you can't watch this whole class, I will edit this video and post the important parts to YouTube, okay? All right. All right. All my flour's in there. We gotta go in with our last little bit of buttermilk, okay? Nina, I'm gonna take my scraper that I scraped my bowl down with and get all the buttermilk out, okay? Let that do its thing, y'all. All right, so far, we're almost done. We are almost done, students. We have creamed our butter and sugar. We have added our eggs. We have now incorporated our flour and buttermilk. What's missing? What have we not added to our cake? What's missing? Who's paying attention? Who's watching with me? What are we missing for this simple vanilla buttermilk? There you go. There you go. That's it. This is a pound cake base. What we're missing here is our flavor or our extract, whatever you like to refer to it as, okay? Still on one. All right. I'm gonna pause it now. This has been mixing for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. I've been talking to you guys about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, I just turned my mixer up to number 2, just really quick. Just turned it up to number 2. I turned my mixer up just a little bit. I'm gonna give that 1 minute, okay? Okay, about 1 minute. Your batter should be smooth. Dip your head on your stand mixer, or if you're using a hand mixer, your batter should be creamy. Ooh, my cake, I'm licking my hands. Your batter should be creamy and smooth. I'm gonna remove this just so I can show y'all the batter. Yes, if I mix this long, I would have streaks. I don't know, I don't have streaks in my cakes. All right, y'all, this is your batter before we even add any extract to our cake, okay? This is what I be showing on my videos. You see that? Y'all see this? This is what your batter should be looking like, okay? We mixed our cake on low the entire time. What I'm doing now is scraping down my bowl and looking at how creamy and silky my cake batter is. Streaks is when you have like the gluten streaks in your pound cakes. I never have the gluten streaks in my pound cakes. It could be a variety of things. When people ask me, oh my God, what did I do? I have no idea. It could be the brand of the products. It could be what you're using. It could be technique. But I'm showing you guys, being very transparent right now, showing you guys step by step how I bake my cakes. Okay? Thank you, Creed. Yes, I baked on low, y'all. I did not put that. I just did 1 minute on number 2, but I was mixing the entire time on low. Okay? So again, can y'all see how creamy this is and smooth this is? Y'all see that? All right. So now we're gonna mix again. To this point, we're gonna mix again. We are gonna mix again because now we need to add in our flavor, okay? For this class, it's a simple vanilla pound cake. But I heard about this creme bouquet. Creme bouquet, somebody said it was nasty. I've never had it. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And I'm gonna add a teaspoon of this just to taste it. I've never had it, but my elders that are baking on Facebook swear by this. So I'm gonna try it out. Somebody said it wasn't good. If you've had creme bouquet, what has been your experience with it? When people say, oh, Professor BB, I made your cake and it didn't turn out like yours, what did I do? I don't know, because I wasn't there with you. I don't know what ingredients you use. I don't know if everything was set out right. I don't know if you did exactly step by step what I do. Baking is a science, it's chemistry, it's all these things marrying together. And sometimes you don't get it right, which is why even in my syllabus, even in the bottom of my class supply list, I said, you have to keep on baking so you don't lose your hand. I wasn't always good at baking cakes. Yeah, I still mess up. And I've been doing this a long time. Baking is a science, you just never know. So when you do it one time and you mess up, don't give up. Try it again. Go back, retrace your steps, and try it again until you get it right, okay? So now I'm gonna do a tablespoon of vanilla. Remember last week's theory, we learned about measuring with the right tools, okay? So for my students, tablespoon, this is a tablespoon. Our baking vanilla here. I'm gonna take a tablespoon of vanilla. Put it in my cake batter. And normally I'm mixing right now, but we're talking. So, and then because I want to try this creme bouquet, where my teaspoon is? Oh, here we go. Going to take my creme bouquet, 1 teaspoon, and add it here. Okay. Going back in with my whisk attachment. Combine it on low. Okay? Till it's fully combined. Mix that until it's fully combined. All right, we should be done mixing. I'm gonna put it on 2 just really quick. Just for a quick second. Look at me leaning over my bowl. Quick blast. It's done. We are ready. Our cake should be ready. Okay? Ready to bake. Dumping off the excess batter off my whisk attachment. Okay. Cake batter should be good and smooth. This is our cake batter. This should be your texture. This should be your texture, okay? Like this. All right. If you want to taste your batter, now is absolutely the point. This is my cake, my hand. I'm going to taste my batter. I want to see what the creme brulee tastes like anyway. That's good, y'all. So I put on the class supply list, you need a 10 to 12 cup Bundt pan. Because it is the weekend before Valentine's Day, I'm using a heart-shaped pan. You don't have to use a heart-shaped pan. This is a 10 cup elegant heart pan from Nordic Ware. Okay? This is the inside of the pan. This is the outside of the pan. Now, class supply list, I mentioned having a baking spray with flour and a pastry brush. And I also gave a quick tutorial or a quick discussion on using cake goop. Okay, but I said for our class today, I would prefer my students came with a baking spray with flour. So my preference is to use a baking spray with flour. I prefer Pam. If you don't have Pam, you can also use Baker's Joy. Baker's is my first preference. Okay, Pam baking spray with flour. So I'm gonna go in and spray my pan. I'm gonna spray it over my sink so it's not all over my kitchen, and I'll come back and show you guys. Okay? See how much I sprayed? A lot. I sprayed a lot. And then I'm going to take my pastry brush, my very own Bundt Buddy's pastry brush. I'm going to brush in my pastry spray, my baking spray, I'm sorry, into every crook and crevice of my pan. This is how you get a perfect release, guys. All right. Pan is greased up. Cake batter's ready. Watch this smooth pour, okay? We're going to pour our cake batter into our pan. Let me go to the other side. Hopefully I'm not blocking too much. Never fill your pan up all the way to the top because your cake is going to rise, remember? About 3/4 of the way because your cake is going to rise. This is a 10 cup pan. You will have leftover cake batter. Okay? That's fine though because remember, we can freeze cake batter. And I'm going to show you that. So we got a little bit of cake batter left, which is fine. Cake full. I'm going to put these on my countertops. And I'm going to tap my pan. Yes, you can freeze cake batter. I'm going to tap my pan, okay? Tap your pan gently to release the air bubbles. Students that are with me, tap your pan gently to release your air bubbles. Your oven should already be preheated to 325. Cake is going in. Oh, not really, I lied. I need to move my rack. I'm going to put my rack in the middle of my oven. Adjusting my rack to the middle oven. Now I'm going to put my cake in. Okay? Cake's in there. I'm going to set my timer for 1 hour. 1 hour. My timer is set. Now, somebody was asking me about freezing cake batter. And I want to show you guys that you can. I've showed this before in my, if you look at my playlist tab at the top of my page, I have shared tips and tricks. And I've shared that you can freeze cake batter. So look, this is cake batter frozen right here. Can y'all see that? See how I labeled it? You can freeze cake batter 3 or 4 months. Yep. So this is an example of frozen cake batter. This is an example of frozen cake batter. I have shared that you can freeze it when you're ready to bake it. You can pull it out. Let it sit in your sink, or you can start some warm water if you want to, and let it defrost for an hour, and then you just give it a good stir and bake it up. You bake it up, and it's fine. Alternatively, if you don't want to freeze cake batter, you can freeze your cakes. Okay, you can, like with this batter right here, I may go ahead and freeze my cake. Maybe I'll take it to my son to school tomorrow. I'll make a mini pound cake for him and his roommate at school. When the cake is still warm, flip it out, put it on a cake board, wrap it in. Press and seal is what I prefer. And then you can wrap it with press and seal and then foil to seal it. And then you can freeze your cake for 3 months as well, okay? It's totally fine. Think about when you go to your grandma's and your auntie's house. Think about when you're traveling and you're driving late at night, but when you get there, there's always a meal ready and a cake ready. You know that stuff is coming out the freezer, right? Leftover batter, you can make mini Bundt cakes. You can make a loaf cake, give it to your neighbors. So many different. You want to know how to freeze? I got a Ziploc bag here. Traditionally, it would be a gallon Ziploc bag. I am out of gallon Ziploc bag, so this is a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, okay? I folded it down. See how I did that? Fold it down. I'm giving y'all a lot of tips and tricks today, okay? Folded it down halfway. It's standing. Y'all see that? We have leftover batter here. I'm gonna pour my batter into this Ziploc bag. See it pouring? Pouring my batter into this bag. And get all of it. Waste not, want not, okay? Got your cake batter poured in. This is a big bag, y'all. This is all I had in there, okay? Cake batter poured in. We're gonna fold and release the air. I'm gonna step back. All my cake batter's at the bottom of this bag. Can y'all see how I'm doing it? It's like a tuck and roll. Release all that air out of there. Seal your bag. And I'm gonna label it. I'm gonna label it. So you'll know what kind of cake you have in your freezer. So on that one Sunday or that Friday night, you at home watching movies or whatever, or your mom or your cousin, somebody's coming to town all of a sudden and you need to bake something. You check your freezer, you got that frozen batter in there. You say, I got some frozen batter. I can do this. I can, let me pull out something and bake something. And you can do this for up to 90 days. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the freezer. Say, don't give up. Keep on baking so you don't lose your hand. What I'm using, even some people were saying, oh, Professor BB, you like that expensive butter. I use the expensive butter because it works for me, right? If I can't find Kerrygold, or before Kerrygold was a really big staple, I use Land O'Lakes. That's what my mom used. That's what I knew to use, right? That's why I use those baters. Some things are out of tradition. Some things are out of habit. Some things are out of what works. So you have to find what works for you. But baking is a science. It could be so many different things to cause pound cakes to fall, to be hard, to have gluten streaks, so many different things. But my method, what I just showed you guys today, is typically what I do. 95% of what I do, 97% of what I do on my cakes, and I don't have those problems. Sometimes, absolutely. It could be my mood that day. It could be I could be rushing. I could have something else going on. It could be a lot of things that could cause a cake to not be right. So you just have to keep going. A simple glaze is gonna be 1 cup of powdered sugar. Okay, 1 cup of powdered sugar. You're also gonna use 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk or heavy whipping cream. Or you can use, alternatively for today, let me show y'all what y'all can use. Since we made a vanilla pound cake, 1 cup of powdered sugar. Then you're gonna use 1 to 2 tablespoons of whole milk, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. Or since we made a simple vanilla pound cake, this is good. 1 to 2 tablespoons of coffee creamer. 10 minutes left on my cake, but I feel like it's ready. So 2 things I wanted to introduce to you guys today, and I've shared this before as well, is a Bundt cake thermometer. This is a Bundt cake thermometer. When you insert this in your cake, the tip will come out red. And this is also a Bundt pan cleaning brush. I've showed this many times before. You know how you release that cake and then you're like, man, my cake, my pan I can't get the cake out of the cracks and grooves. I can't get this, blah, 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 blah. This is a Bundt pan cleaning brush. So with your cleaning brush, what I do when I clean my Bundt pans is I like to soak my pan with Dawn soap. You always hand wash your Bundt pans. So I soak my pans with Dawn soap and water. And then with those fancy intricate pans where you have all those different cracks and crevices like the Brilliance or the Crystal, you take this little tip and you scrape down all that excess cake that's in those cracks and crevices. And then you take this just like brushing your teeth and you brush it off. So a cake thermometer, which I'm gonna try now. Cake thermometer, right? When I put this in and insert it and take it out, the tip should be red if it's done. And a Bundt pan cleaning brush. All of these are linked above in my bio. What happens if it goes wrong? What if we went through this entire class, we've been online for 2 hours and 8 minutes, and the cake is a fail? Oh my God. Are you guys gonna stop following me? What are you gonna do? What happens? Remember, I don't always get it right either. I make mistakes too, and life happens, y'all. Life happens. So Let's check our cake. We're gonna use our thermometer. We're gonna check our cake. Oh, she definitely look ready. But just because it looks ready doesn't mean it is ready, okay? So let's check it. I'm gonna go to the thickest part of my heart, okay? Y'all see that? Is it red? Y'all see that? The cake is ready, okay? I'm about to pull her out. Now for me in this 10 cup Bundt pan on 325, it only took me, I had it set for an hour, right? But it's done and we still have 6 minutes left, so 54 minutes. Here we go. Y'all see that? She is ready. Y'all see that? And somebody was saying their mom has a crust. Oh, she got a crust. Y'all see them edges? She ready. If y'all could smell it. I had a video that took off on social media because I did this. So you can hear the crust. Y'all hear that crust? Look, listen right here. I like the crust. Crust me. Crust me. Crust me. This is it, y'all. We did all of this in class today. This cake right here is no baking powder. My cake did not fall. My cake looks the same as when I poured it out the oven. Your cake aerates, okay? If I'm using all-purpose flour, because all-purpose flour is a heavier flour with heavier protein, I will use baking powder. I typically like to use cake flour, which is already a lighter, more refined cake flour. Therefore, you don't have to use baking powder or baking soda. You can, but you don't have to. It's optional, okay? When you're mixing your eggs and butter and sugar, your cake is aerating. Your cake is aerating. As well as eggs help your cake rise, okay? The more eggs, the bigger the cake. Had we done 6 eggs, this cake would be bigger. All right, our cake is ready. Yes, I use cake flour or all-purpose flour. Okay. Y'all, what if it don't flip out the pan? Oh my God. Are y'all gonna stop following me? What if it goes wrong? What if it's not done? What if? These are all the things that goes through a baker's mind, right? I'm nervous. I have never baked a cake on live before. This is my first time baking a cake on live. What if? All these things happen, right? And all these things are fear, false evidence appearing real that really hold us back from baking. I don't want you guys to operate in fear. I'm being so transparent right now. I don't know what's about to happen. This cake may not come out. When we cut it, this cake may not be done. Who knows? I want you guys to know that stuff happens. It happens. But if at first you don't succeed, try again. You got to keep on baking so that you don't lose your hand. I don't know what's about to happen. I have never done this before. I have never done a live baking class before in front of 400 people. So I don't know. But here goes. Y'all ready? Cake board. Cake. Oh, y'all hear that crust when I did that? Cake pan is warm enough for me to touch it with. No glove on. Cool enough, I'm sorry. Count me down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is my pan. It's hot, but it ain't that hot. And here's our cake. Y'all see that crust across the bottom? Oh my God. Do y'all see that crust? Do y'all see that? This is our cake. This is our cake. For those of you that be like, I want to put a glaze on. My cakes come out like this. I don't want to put nothing on to cover it up. Y'all see this? I be on camera doing this, spinning it. Y'all see all of that? This is here. You want a piece? You can see the crust. my cake perfect? Look, I got a little flaw right here. Y'all see that? It's okay though. Elegant heart Bundt. Cut. What if it ain't done? What if it's raw? What if who said earlier if they mixed that long they would have streaks? What if it has streaks in it? I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. This is what we made in class today. Steam still coming off of it, y'all. Can y'all see that? Y'all see that? Y'all see that? And I want to show y'all. This is the cake. Cake guts. That's what we call them. Y'all see that? This is why I don't need no glaze. I don't need a glaze because I'm focused on this. No gluten streaks. See this crust? Can y'all hear that? Y'all hear that crust? That's what we want. Here, you want a piece? Here you go. Delicious. Oh my goodness, delicious. I'm gonna give you, oh, it's so soft. Look at this. Y'all. Oh my God. It's delicious. This is a pound cake. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Moist. Look at this. I done dropped my piece of cake. It tastes good, Tiffany. I'm finna get my cake off this counter. Y'all mind y'all business, but I'm finna eat it. It's melting in my mouth, y'all. And I'm not saying that because I made it. Y'all. Here go your bite. One more bite. Y'all. For my students. Sorry, y'all. Look. This crust. Y'all see that? Who wants some crust? Yeah, when it's so good like this and it's still warm. Oh, y'all hear that crust? Listen. Y'all hear that crust? Yeah. This is good. And again, I'm not just saying it because I made it. Y'all see this? And then do you see the crust, the crumble? See the texture of the cake? Your flour helps determine that. You see that? You see the texture of my cake? You see that crumb right there? This is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1.5 cups of cake flour combined. You see that texture? That's important. Some people say, oh, pound cake is not good. It's too tough. It's too hard. The right person ain't making your pound cake. Because mine don't come out like that. I mean, y'all see that? Look close. Thank you. That's my goal, right? If I can do this and I get so much fulfillment out of doing this on live and not having to spend all my days and nights baking or up and delivering and running around, I think this is where I want to be. This week was week 2 of our intro to baking class. And this week, in week 2, we had 2 different theories. We discussed the difference in butter and margarine. We also learned how to make a homemade buttermilk. And then today we incorporated it. Today we made a simple vanilla buttermilk pound cake using salted butter and buttermilk. Okay, those were ingredients that we used, and we also learned about those ingredients earlier this week. Okay, so I want to know, how was the cake?
It was good, very good.
Y'all hear him? He said the cake was good. Could you tell?
I don't need it, but it was good.
Could you tell the difference in the? Did it taste any different?
No.
Didn't taste any different for him. He didn't taste the creme brulee. Creme bouquet. So see, for me, it didn't taste any different. It was good, but it didn't taste any different. So my husband had the cake as well, and somebody said, "Good, great answer, husband." So he enjoyed the cake as well. Yeah, so this is what we made today. Simple vanilla buttermilk class. My username is the same on all platforms. You can follow me at _the Bundt Buddy or just the Bundt Buddy. _the Bundt Buddy or just the Bundt Buddy. My username is the same on all platforms. I will talk to you all later. Bye.